There is a kicker that happens in that part of the movie. In the beginning, you learn something about Shaggy. Hey, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another installment of Let's Talk. Read from the title, I will be doing a review of the new Scooby-Doo movie. And before we get started, let's take care of some business. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button because I am on the road to 1,000 and 1,000 what? 1,000 subscribers. I need you to help with that. Don't forget to click that like button on this video. Watch to the very end, share, leave a comment. Leave a comment. I love comments. I love to hear from you, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, so to get started, I just want to talk about where we streamed the movie. So we streamed the movie on Apple TV. As you know, with COVID-19, most of the movie theaters are down. I know here in Arizona, we're pretty much open. We're an open state. Governor Ducey said, you know what, we are open. I think it's still in phases, but we streamed it on Apple TV. We just click on it. If you're not familiar with Apple TV, that's something that you can go look up. That's not an endorsement. I'm just telling you where we found the movie at. That's where we found it at. And if you can see from the trailer cover, it's a cute little movie. We have classic Scooby-Doo, Shaggy. I will not be giving out the storyline. I will not be giving out spoiler alerts, so don't worry at all. If you are of a certain age like myself, really, I think Scooby-Doo is kind of timeless. So I can't even use that as an opening segue to what I'm going to be talking about. I think everyone, there's a large population that is for Scooby-Doo, that loves Scooby-Doo. And so when I found out that this movie was finally being released, I was excited. And I was like, you know what? We need to watch it. And I need to do a review. It's a movie that definitely speaks to my childhood. And I just have a secret. I absolutely must admit that the Scooby-Doo cartoons were absolutely petrifying for me as a child. I was okay in the beginning, but once they got into the mystery part of it and it was dark and we're trying to figure it out and this person's running through and it's usually a mask, right? This person's always masked, you know, a ghost. And at the end, I was kind of relieved. And you would think as a kid, I know like, hey, this is fake. And, you know, they're going to figure out who it is. And it's going to be Mr. So-and-so who worked at the bakery. But no, I got scared every single last episode. And as a TV kid, yes, I was a TV kid. That means someone that was glued to the TV. Like that was me. As a TV kid watching Scooby-Doo often, let's just say I was scared often. At the start of the movie, first you're going to see, I will say this. First, you're going to see a young Scooby-Doo and a young Shaggy. There is a cliffhanger. There is a kicker that happens in that part of the movie. In the beginning, you learn something about Shaggy. That's all I'm going to say. You learn something. And when we heard it, Vanilla and I looked at each other and we were like, I didn't know that was da-da-da-da-da-da. And so that was very, very interesting to find out. That was kind of cool to find out because we know, but then we learned. But we have a young Shaggy and a young Scooby, and we find out how they meet. And we find out, you know, the beginning of their relationship. So it kind of goes back. And it was really nostalgic because they kind of went back to the 90s. But I think that Scooby-Doo was out before the 90s for sure. But they go back to the 90s. So the opening scene, it has, you know, some 90s music and the beatbox and everything. I think they're kind of mixing up the late 80s and the 90s, actually. But it was really, really cute. As far as the animation is concerned, I think it was your typical animation. It wasn't as barbaric as maybe the Flintstones or Jetsons type animation, but it was not Pixar, if that makes sense. It was your typical cartoon animation. It was very colorful. It was well done. Scooby looked like Scooby. It wasn't like, oh, who is this dog? Scooby looked like Scooby. All the rest of the characters looked exactly who they were supposed to look like. So much so, even the cameos, there were cameos that happened. And one cameo was absolutely, and I'll say that, like, if you don't want to hear this part, just fast forward a little bit. I'll wait. Okay, and now I'm gone. There was a cameo of Simon Cowell. And it's intricate to the storyline. It makes sense. And again, I'm not going to tell you what the storyline is. So anyway, Simon Cowell is there, and you can tell that that's who that is. And not only that, the voice the person that was doing the voice was spot on. And I think it was him. But if not, they were very, very close to it. But as far, I'm speaking animation, and as far as the animation is concerned, it definitely looked like Simon Cowell. The dog looked like a dog. Scooby looked like Scooby. Shaggy looked like Shaggy. Everything, it was great animation. You know how sometimes you're like, that's not how they're supposed to look. They were, look, now they did look a little older. They did look a little older when they switched. Obviously, when they were younger, they looked younger. And when it went to the present time, they did look a little older. They didn't look like, you know, the classic Scooby-Doo and Shaggy and Velma and all of them, but you can tell they were who they were. Animation-wise, top notch. I give it an A++. As far as the plot is concerned, it held my attention the entire time. It was a typical plot, typical progression. Now, I will say this. As a plus, but as a downside, it wasn't, and maybe it was because I'm an adult, but I wasn't scared. But I also think it wasn't dark. I don't think it was dark as it could have been, right? I don't even think some of the scenes that should have been dark, where classically they would have been in that mansion and it was dark and it was smoke and you sitting there like this, trying to figure out what's going on. Those scenes were not dark at all. Like, it was, you knew nighttime was night, but it wasn't creepy night. They didn't have the creepy music and stuff like that. So I think they laid off a little bit as far as that's concerned. I talked about the music. You know, the music was really nice. So the opening scene, like I said, it was in the 90s. So we rocking to whatever it is they were rocking to, which was kind of nostalgic. I thought the plot was absolutely good, as I mentioned before. It wasn't like, oh, well, that was dumb or whatever. No, it all made sense. You're going to get the story of how they met. And there's only so much I can talk about that without giving it away. You do find out. So I already talked about Simon Cowell as a guest appearance, as a cameo. It gets to a point in the movie where you see this caveman type thing. Now, this goes back to the animation. If you don't want to hear this part, again, fast forward. So it gets to the point where in the story where there's this caveman person, and again, kudos to the animators who were drawing. And immediately I looked before the person started talking. I said, that looks like Captain Caveman. So the person started talking or whatever, and Vanessa was like, yeah, that does look like Captain Caveman. And Captain Caveman is another very classic cartoon that we all grew up on. So it wove with the plot. So it wasn't something like, oh, let me give you a piece of your childhood and drop Captain Caveman in here. No, it wasn't like that at all. It fit. So he shows up on the screen and I'm like, oh my goodness, that looks like Captain Caveman. Sure enough, to the animator's credit, that's who it was. And not only was it Captain Caveman, here's a spoiler. So I knew immediately when the Captain Caveman showed up, it was Tracy Morgan. And to my delight, to my surprise, we haven't seen anything from Tracy Morgan in a while. And so it was very nice to see him in that role, and he fitted perfectly. When you think about a classic Captain Caveman, you have that voice and everything. And you didn't really hear that Tracy Morgan, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, that East Coast, Northern East Coast drawl. You didn't hear that at all. Like, he sounded like Captain Caveman. So that was a real treat when you looked at Simon Cowell and you saw Tracy Morgan. Like I said, the animators did a very good job with the drawing, but also the voiceovers for those two characters. It was great. And like I said, kudos to the animators, because as soon as I saw that that character, I was like, oh, that's Captain Caveman. And I was correct. Let's go back to the voices, specifically Scooby-Doo's voice. Now, another negative that I thought was, and this is probably going to be really weird for some people, I thought that Scooby-Doo's voice was not done the best. I think classic Scooby-Doo is a mixture of what the heck is he saying, a dog bark, and oh, I understand what he's saying. The new Scooby-Doo in this movie, I feel like I understand clearly what you're saying. You look like a dog, but I don't hear the bark, and I shouldn't be understanding what you're saying. So that was kind of disappointing, because I think that part of the classic experience of Scooby-Doo is hearing Scooby talk, but it's like, but it wasn't like that at all. Like, when Scooby in the new movie, when he talked, you understand exactly, like he's speaking like I'm speaking, but it just had a little deep voice like that. No fries for you. You know, that's a line in the movie. So it was like, that's not Scooby. I don't know who, hey, you're trying to fool us, but that's not Scooby. And you're trying to fool me right now. And that is not Scooby. That looks like an old Scooby, but the way you sound, that is not Scooby. So cut it out. That's what it sounded like. So I didn't like that part. I didn't like the fact that, and I just think it's a politically correct where we're at with kids and all of that. It wasn't as dark. Now, again, you leave a comment down below and let me know if you saw the movie and you feel like, you know what, it's just you because you're older now and you know that this is fake. But my kids were terrified. If your kids were terrified, I can't base it off my kids because my kids are older as well. But if your kids watch it and they're terrified, then I digress. Okay, fine, it was scary. But for me, I wasn't on pins and needles. And I think definitely that was the intention because, again, it followed the classic storyline of a mystery. There was some futuristic stuff in it that might have tainted that a little bit, but you know, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. It was definitely a mystery. I just didn't think it was dark. I'm looking at my notes and it says not dark. I just didn't think it was dark. I didn't think it was dark enough. And you know, I wasn't expecting Chucky or anything, but I just felt like, okay, let's scare the kids a little bit. You want to scare them a little bit? You scared me. So you're not. Okay, whatever. If you want to know what I got out of it as far as it was a spoiler. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to tell you, but I'm so excited and I want to talk about it. If you don't want to hear it, I'll end the video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for another video. But if you want to know what that spoiler is, as far as Shaggy is concerned, I was mind blown. You know what? You diehard Scooby-Doo fans, you probably are going to be like, I knew that. I didn't know it. I've never heard it. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to close out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to share the video. All right, so that's that ending. We're going to get a second ending. The spoiler. You sure you want to hear it? You sure you want the spoiler? Because I'm going to give it. All right, here we go. The spoiler that we find out in the movie is that Shaggy's real name is not Shaggy. His real name, Shaggy's real name is Norval. Leave a comment down below if you knew that, because I did not know that. So when they said that, I was like, because again, I don't want to give it away and I don't want to give the storyline away, but it was a really cute storyline, especially watching them as little kids and then growing up, and then very, very funny movie. You know, I didn't roll on the floor laughing out loud, and I don't even think that that was the intention. I don't think that was ever the intention, but there was definitely some funny moments, especially with Scooby. Scooby always had like one-liners and you just be like, hey. Overall, I give the movie a 4 out of 5. The things that I didn't like about it was not very major to the point where I'd be like, oh, it was trash. I wouldn't rent it. I wouldn't watch it or whatever. No, I'm so glad that we decided to stream this. It was very funny in points. Like I said, the only 2 things that I felt were downfalls was, number 1, the voice of Scooby kind of threw me off because, you know, I'm not saying he was as clear as how I'm talking now, but Scooby, I shouldn't even understand half the crap he was saying, you know, just kind of sort of, but no, I understood it. That's just my opinion. And I felt like it wasn't as dark as it could have been. I just felt like it wasn't dark. But anyway, we had an appearance for the Mystery Machine. We had all the classic characters, and you just really got a moment to drop back in history and just really, really enjoy, you know, a piece of my childhood. And it was fun. I definitely would recommend watching it. I recommend renting it. We rented it because I'm not that emotionally tied to the movie to want to own it, you know? So we were like, you know what, let's just rent it. And that's what we did. It was a cute little movie. It was cute. It was cute. With that being said, thank you for watching to the very end. Check out my video that I have posted before talking about all kinds of things. I went live the other night and it was literally 3 hours worth of everything from my opinion to faith to friends, and I had family come in, my husband came in, and then we started talking. So it is a plethora of goodness and mercy, and I'm just telling you to go ahead and check that video out. As always, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and don't forget the little old notification bell. With that being said, as always, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.